Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching 90 Day Fiancé. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Let's see if anything of interest comes out of my face.
You cheat and you lie and you get caught. This is the problem and I cannot stand it.
I don't need to explain anything else. I've explained this to you
Michael,
a year and a
sex
half
with
ago.
her. You did. There is some lady who is his best friend, very close to him. It just hits me and I'm kind of not jealous, I don't know, just not confident about it.
Okay, so that's interesting. She's talking with her friend, and she is saying, I don't feel good about this Sarah situation that happened a year and a half ago. And I feel I don't feel jealous. I don't feel, what did she say? Let's rewind that.
It just hits me and I'm kind of not jealous, I don't know, just not confident about it.
Okay, so away from being triggered in the midst of a conflict, she kind of has a different tone. She's saying, I don't know, they're very close, and there's something about their relationship that hits me, and I feel very jealous. Maybe I'm jealous. I'm not comfortable with it. So she seems to be scaling back. So maybe when she's not being triggered in the moment, which is very common, she has a more rational point of view of it. She's thinking something like, well, I would like an apology. I would like an acknowledgement that what he did was, not a terrible transgression. I don't think he had sex with her. But it wasn't a good thing. I wouldn't do that to him. I wouldn't sleep at some guy's house, even if it was a good friend of mine. I just wouldn't do that. And I would hope that he wouldn't do that too. And the fact that he did do that makes me worry, like, well, what else might he do? Or what else is he doing? And I just want to have a conversation about that. Now, she hasn't expressed herself in that way, but maybe that's what's happening for her. And again, if they went back to, I think his name was Doug or Dave, and they went back to that couples therapist, they might be able to get to the bottom of that. Maybe they will. Let's watch.
I was never in your situation. Yes, it's really very hard. But you should to remember that you are the main person, his fiancé, his love.
I understand, but Mike says he doesn't love me as much as he used to and haven't got the ring back.
Are you serious?
Okay, so you hear me talk about triangulation sometimes, where there's a conflict between two people, and there's a tendency, according to Murray Bowen, to triangulate a third element. This is a subset of systems theory. It's a way of looking at our relationships and our own personal psychologies as a part of a whole, part of a systemic whole. We're not individuals. We don't exist in a vacuum. We exist relationally and to other people, and we also exist in certain roles of life. Like right now, I'm in the role of YouTuber, and in a different role, it's not like when I'm talking to my wife, I don't talk like this. Right now, I'm in a different mindset, and so my psychology is different, and everything about me is different because there's different roles that we have in life. When you talk to your kids, say you're talking to your 5-year-old kid, I hope you come from a different psychology, a different space than if you're talking to someone at work, unless you work with all 5-year-olds, I suppose. But anyway, which actually my mom did. That just pops in my head. My mom had a daycare in my house, and I grew up watching her take care of a dozen little ones. And so my mom would both talk to my younger brother and at work in the same voice because, of course, it was. Anyway, we have a conflict between Mike and Natalie, and this friend is being triangulated in. And there's nothing inherently dysfunctional or functional about that triangulation. And what differentiates between functional and dysfunctional is whether or not the triangulated third situation, that the 3 points of that triangle are able to improve on the conflict, help resolve the conflict, help resolve it in a way that gets people's needs met. And so in that first discussion where they're talking about the jealousy, the friend, in my view, was doing something functional. She was saying, well, it sounds like you're jealous of this friend, but you have to remember that Mike loves you and that he wouldn't do something like that, and you have to be secure in that. And so that's a third person being involved into the conflict and trying to help this person resolve the conflict. When you have a lot of incentive to just agree with your friend and say, you're right, your husband, your fiancé, your boyfriend is an awful person. There's a very easy tendency to do that, in terms of like, well, yeah, just break up with them. It's a very common thing that friends will say, but the friend didn't do that. The friend was like, well, I hear you and I validate you, but he loves you and you need to remember that. So she's trying to help them work it out. She's not saying don't go and talk to him, but she's saying, believe in him, believe in the process. But now Natalie is saying, and he says he doesn't love me and we're not engaged anymore. And now the friend is like, whoa, are you serious? And so she's trying to validate her friend in this moment.
I'm not fiancé even.
Oh my God, he don't give you a ring since Kiev situation.
Yeah, I feel like he mad at me or something for Kiev.
So that's the interesting way of putting it. I feel like he's mad at me or something. Now, on one hand, it would make sense that, because to me, it's quite obvious that he's hurt about what happened last season where she threw the ring back. And he isn't resolved on that issue. So it seems pretty clear to me. And the fact that early on last season, she said that she didn't love him anymore. That really hurt him too. Now, we could argue whether or not that seemed justified or not, but that seems to be pretty clear. But you heard the way Natalie just said, yeah, I think he might be mad at me about the ring. I don't know, kind of dismissing it. So it's an interesting way of looking at it. What I would hope that Natalie would do is like, yep, he's still really angry at me about throwing the ring back, which I understand, but he's been a real jerk face since I've arrived here. He's been very cold and he's been very distant to me. You know, she can have complaints while validating him. But they both put up walls to each other, which makes it hard for the other to know what's really happening for the other person, and it tends to reject the other person's point of view. If you have a wall up, then you tend to say, like, I don't understand you, you're weird, and you're trying to distance yourself, and it hinders your ability to empathize and really understand what people are going through, which I think they both suffer from.
It was impulsive mistake of mine. Even though I was mad at him and upset, I shouldn't have given a ring to him 2 hours before he would leave. But on the other hand, I don't know how to fix it.
Great. Natalie's been doing this from, the beginning, where there are times when she can absolutely take responsibility and apologize, whether it's away from Mike or even in front of Mike. This season, we haven't seen a lot of it in front of Mike, but a little bit. And then she says, but I don't know how to fix it. Go back to couples therapy. Like, I just don't understand people. If you're sitting, or I always give this example, if you fall off the roof and you break your arm, you don't stand around your house going like, why does my arm hurt? I don't understand why my arm hurts. You broke your arm. Go to the doctor. Go to the ER. Go to the hospital. It's obvious, okay? When you are suffering with a relational problem in a romantic relationship, there is a professional, and we saw the glory of that one session. I can't remember his name. Was it Doug? And he seemed like a really great therapist who could really help you work on this sort of thing. So, golly.
Maybe he tried to play with you.
But don't you think it's kind of hard on me because I'm not 17 years old, I'm 35. And I really want a child, I really want a family. And I commit so much, I've been through divorce and it was so hard for me. I just...
Okay, so we just heard a little bit more detail about her last relationship. She said, I just went through divorce and it was so hard. She hasn't talked about it that way, at least from my memory. She often talks about it like it was a really great relationship and they just kind of drifted apart. So I wonder if there's more to that story. Who knows? It seemed likely that there would be, but who knows? The other thing is we heard that the friend said, oh, is he just playing with your mind? Okay, so would that be a helpful thing to say to your friend, or is that an unhelpful thing? Is it possible that Mike is playing with her mind? I know a lot of y'all in the comments will actually think that. I don't like to think those kinds of things about people. Is it possible? Yeah, it is possible, and I've seen people like that, but it's not normal. It's not typical, I should say. It's not very common for someone to purposely try to screw with someone's mind. It's usually a result of relational traumas, fears, hurts, no ability to communicate about your feelings, worry of not seeming like he's man enough to communicate about things, worries about communicating in a feminine way by talking about his weak feelings, this kind of thing. So that's usually what's going on. It's not usually because someone's trying to mess with your mind. I know it can feel that way. I know it can result in that. I know that relationships can make you actually feel like you're going crazy. That can happen. But is it intentional for Mike in that situation? Is Mike intending on trying to screw with her mind? Is he saying, ha, 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 I'm going to suck her to, over to the United States, and then I'm going to act like I'm going to marry her, but then I'm not. Like, that would be a pretty psychopathic thing to do. Are there people like that in the world? Yes. but I don't think Mike is one of those people. I think he's terrified. I think he's put up walls. I think he has a long-standing style related to his early childhood of never revealing his feelings, never being open. And he broke that rule by being very open with her in the beginning, and then she threw the ring back, and I think that was when he said, nope, I'm going to go back to my avoidant style. I'm going to put up my walls. I'm very safe over here. That was scary. I knew better. I knew I shouldn't have been vulnerable. It always goes badly. It's been going badly for me since I was 2 years old. Back behind the walls. Hopefully she will scale the walls and convince me to take down the walls, but she puts up her walls and, so.
You're a very fast girl, I think. You needed time.
All right, so that's interesting. The friend is saying, you're a very fast girl, meaning I'm guessing that you really want things to move quickly and maybe you just need some time. I think that's actually really good advice. I keep wondering if we're going to see a resolution to this relationship, if we're going to see another season of them. I'm not quite sure. But, as I've been saying from the beginning, I think that this couple can make it, especially if they go back to that therapist. I think that they do want to pull down the walls at the same time and be vulnerable with each other. I think they've been that way before. Maybe they can return there.
It's true. I make decision too fast, probably. And my expectation of Mike should be more patient to him.
What can be changed?
I should slow down probably and just forget and forgive.
Great. So that's often when she is able to not be triggered in the moment, she's able to think really quite healthily, I would say. And she says, maybe I should try to put that behind me and maybe I should forgive and then ask him for forgiveness. Now, that's great. She could say, I'm sorry for yelling at you about that. I'm going to forget about what happened. I'm sorry for accusing you of having sex with her. That wasn't fair. And then he could say, thank you so much. And you know what? I'm sorry that I did that. I don't think I did anything terrible, but you're right. I probably shouldn't have slept at her house, or I should have asked you beforehand, and I could see how that would bother you. I could see both of them doing that. I could see it. I've seen it before with them, and maybe they can do that. Let's watch.
And ask him for forgiveness, because it's just destroying us both.
Yes, I think it will be a real change for you and for your relationship to overcome this big resentment.
This is great. I think this friend is a pretty good triangulator, if you will. She's able to triangulate seemingly in a functional way that helps Natalie to go, okay, you know what? Thanks for validating me. And you know what? Maybe I should try to work at the conflict with him one-on-one. So that's good. Good sign. Not a lot of friends in life, and especially on this show, will be like that. Like I said earlier, there's a very easy tendency to agree with your friend and go like, dump him. He's gaslighting you. And maybe that's true sometimes, but I think people jump to that conclusion much too often. Some of y'all might be in that situation where you want to complain about your spouse with you're meeting up with your friend, you're having a couple drinks, and you want to complain about your spouse. You got a couple things on your mind, and you just want to complain. Or you want to complain about your job. You like your job, but you have some things you don't like about your job. You just want to get some things off your chest, and you tell your friend, and your friend says, dump him, or quit your job. And you're like, well, that's not very helpful. So this friend's doing the opposite of that, which is great.
Him, and I think you will be happy.
You always say worse things. I want to stop fighting and marry Mike. I just need to talk to him about it and let him understand that I want to move forward.
Yeah, you need to talk to him, but is it gonna work? I mean, we've been here before, and go to the therapist. I'm pretty sure the therapist is right down the hill in Squim. Just make that appointment, please.
So I think I should work from my side on trust issue. Even though I haven't got a ring back, I trust in him.
Okay, it's interesting that she trusts him. That's interesting because she the relationship has had some pretty difficult times lately, and she definitely didn't trust him then. And just after talking with her friend for a little bit, suddenly now she trusts him. I wonder if she's just telling herself that instead of really knowing if she really believes that deep down. I don't know. Hey, if you didn't know, we have a Discord. You can click the link below and join our Discord server, I think they call it. And we have a lot of really great conversations on there about psychology or 90 Day Fiancé or our pets or various different topics. And so you can go there and join the conversation. Even if you don't use Discord normally, I don't. I only use it for this. You can go there and join the conversation. It's a really great way of getting things off your chest, hearing from other people, communicating with the team and me. And all right, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.